Welcome to the Cutting Time CNC Podcast, your go-to show for precision, efficiency, and innovation in CNC manufacturing. We're here to help you cut time in all of your CNC endeavors. Whether you're a CNC enthusiast, CAD/CAM aficionado, or into robotics, this podcast is for you. Join us as we explore cutting-edge perspectives on machining metal parts. Discover the perfect tools and streamline your production processes. Precision meets progress on the Cutting Time CNC Industry Podcast. And now, here's your hosts, Al Martins and Stephanie Bate.
Welcome back. Been a while.
It's been weeks, Stephanie. Where have you been?
I know. I've been slacking, apparently.
This damn vacation stuff is, well, it's nice to have you back, and it's nice to be back. And we're really excited about this particular episode.
Absolutely.
Why is that, Stephanie?
Well, we've got a very exciting person. We've got Thorsten, the president of GibbsCAM. It's going to be a very good show. It's back for our winter season, as Al calls it.
If it's not Florida, it's winter.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I agree. Well, we're really excited to have Thorsten, and I'm so glad he agreed to join us today. It's really, really late for him. So, in fact, it's already tomorrow's episode.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right. Well, let's bring him on, Steph. Thank you.
Show.
Thanks. There he is.
Exactly.
How are you,
exactly. Thorsten? So just remark, I'm already in the Thursday mode. Yeah. So I just switched to the next day.
Happy Thursday to you.
Yeah. Thanks, Al. Great.
Yeah. No, great to have you with us. I'm really honored to get the president of GibbsCAM with us, and that comes with its own, I guess, subscription, as it were. So we're happy to have you starting our winter season episodes of Cutting Time. So today's title really, I think, is tailor-made for someone in your position about shaping the future of manufacturing in this next century, as it were. Things have come a long way already from the 70s and 80s, 90s, 2000, and we're really coming into a faster progress in time, even in the last 3 years. So the show, Thorsten, we do 10 questions. We try to get through them all. We generally do.
I'll do my best. Yeah.
Yes, we will. And we'll keep it to an hour or a little less. We try not to keep you on longer than we have to. And again, appreciate this is live, which is also more exciting. We get a lot of candid remarks when we're live, so it's genuine. Look forward to that. So our first question: how has CAD the past 2 decades, and what are the most significant advancements? Now, I've asked that question to Thorsten, and I think he suggested, "Hey, Al, why don't you answer that?" He volleyed it over to me.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, I'm not so long, maybe to give to the audience a rough idea. So I'm with GibbsCAM since beginning of last year. I'm now roughly 20 years in the software industry, and I started roughly 30 years ago, and my origin was sales, and I was all my life with, before I started with pure software, with products made out of steel, so hand tools and scissors and these things. And so I was in touch somehow with CAD/CAM, but that has changed massively. I mean, this year, GibbsCAM, we were fighting a little bit internally. So we said we have 40 years GibbsCAM. But there are people who said, no, the company was founded already 1 year earlier and so on. So 4 decades this year. I think we are still in the market. I think that is a good sign. but I think you know more because you've been with the product, with the brand for many years more than me, and I think you can give better, let's say, a kind of review what has changed. And what I think I can do is like to talk a little bit more about, let's say, my ideas, my vision for the future, what I think where we need to go to.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, I appreciate you talking a little bit about your legacy, and I hoped you would include a little bit of that. So you came from a manufacturing background, sales background. How do you think that sets you up for success in this position?
Well, I mean, we must be completely realistic. I think if we produce or develop a software, we don't do it for ourselves. So we need to do it for the users, for the market. And so therefore, I think starting with sales was a good base for it, a solid base, because also in sales, if you don't listen to the prospect, if you don't understand what they need, you will never succeed. And I was a very successful salesperson. And nice. I think, therefore, I have the necessary, let's say, sensitive fingertips, let's say, to go the right way, to find, let's say, the strategy, the future strategy, and trends and technologies and market segments where we should focus on. And I think that is an important base. And yeah, I mean, being in software, so that is always a big discussion. So selling software is something different than selling hardware. Selling an investment good is quite different from selling a consumable. So big discrepancies on behavior, on needs and habits of customers. And so I think that our many hundreds or thousands of sales discussions, negotiations, I think that are a solid base. I found it myself also. I remember, so in the beginning, I founded an own company, and if you really start from scratch, and you need to develop everything yourself and survive, then you learn how to fight, and that makes you super strong. And that's my background. Yeah,
no, that's like forged in fire, really. That's great. And it's interesting because still staying on this question. When Bill Gibbs founded the company way back in 84, 82, it was an emerging market. CAM didn't really exist. You've come into this, 38 years later, and it's quite a developed market. So it's a very different strategy from one point to the other. I mean, it's dramatic.
Absolutely.
And the principles and the theories around how you're going to drive the business is quite a bit different as well.
The boundary conditions are totally different. I mean, now we have a major market, as you say, and you need really to let's say, listen to the market, as I said before, listen to the customers, to the prospects, and understand what is the need today, tomorrow, and the day after. And then you have to adjust your product and your let's say your strategy also to how to go to market, who to approach, how to approach, and so on. So I mean, let's say software sales in let's say in the 90s, what does it mean? So you needed a big car to put hardware in the trunk. You drove around, and now let's say if we can see or let's say if there's something positive we can take from the pandemic is that online presentations are accepted. And I think that made life a little bit more easy from sales perspective. I think you can qualify much more easy. You can select, filter quite good, and you can decide how to go ahead. And so that helps a lot. But it's a big change. So
it's a significant change. And what used to be, one feature to the other. So when way back when, I guess I got really involved in 87, it was really one feature after the other. And then, we had apt, we had Compact 2, which were effectively tools that ran on digital equipment, ran really slowly, but hey, they were significant back in those days. And then, our competitors were basically CAD companies that stuck on some CAM to say they had CAM. And, we still see that today. There are CAD companies who try to be CAM players, and they're not really good at CAM, but because their vast majority of their share is in the CAD side of things. Gibbs was always a CAM product. It was started that way. It grew that way. And we just kept adding features that became important. And machine tools in those days, they were pretty dinosaur as well. I mean, they were NC back then. So it's interesting to see how over these past years, how it's developed. And Gibbs always stayed on the forefront. We back in the early 90s, we were the first ones to have a machine simulation. In fact, Vericut inspired themselves from Gibbs, and we still have, I've forgotten the president now, but a conversation. Thanks. He always thanked Bill for, getting that ball rolling. And then back in 95, 96, solid modeling was just starting to get into CAD. And we jumped on the ball. We were the first ones to have solid modeling back then.
Yeah, and I fully agree. I mean, that were great, let's say, great things which were really pushed by GibbsCAM. But if we take a look back on the last, let's say, 15 years, so I would include the last 3 years where GibbsCAM is now owned by SANDVIK, but in the years before, honestly, there were more investors. And what did they do? I mean, they had the brilliant, like investors are, they had the brilliant idea, cost down, revenue up. I mean, that might work 1 or 1.5 times, but not 3-4 times. When the lemon is squeezed out, it's squeezed out. And so, I mean, that is what I inherited. So, I mean, there were various, or there are still various topics which need to be adjusted, etc. And so I think due to this, what happened to GibbsCAM in the last years, I would compare it a little bit. So I've been a sports guy in the past when I was a few days younger, let's say. And so I was in kick and Thai boxing very active. And so I compare it therefore often to this, let's say, boxing ring. So, and I think Gibbs was moved to the dark corner. And my fight now is getting the brand, the company, the product back in the spotlight. And I think with GibbsCAM 2025, which we really released last week, Monday, and thanks again to the developing team around Israel Klein, which did a tremendous job to get it really done in this short time frame. We were now the first CAM system, or we are now the first CAM system having the Microsoft AI Copilot integrated. So, and also we released last week the up to parts product called AutoCAM, included the Copilot, which is let's say a brand new product, and there are shareholders like SANDVIK, Schaeffler, and DMG involved. And so we are the first CAM software which is offering this solution now. And I think that shows, so that's why I'm working for, since I started beginning last year, really day and night. So, and to bring the brand back in the spotlight. And I think we have now 2 things with AI, which will impact heavily everything in the next years. So that means our own developments will be impacted by AI, using AI tools to become better, faster, and making more progress. But on the other side, we must bring, I think it's our duty, it's our responsibility to bring these things, these benefits into the software, into the product, that users really can benefit from this technology. Because let's say that's what I learned very in the early beginning when I started last year. They said, well, we are facing a big problem. Getting staff or finding new staff is tricky, and on top, finding qualified staff. And I think AI will be a major lever or method in the end, not to close that gap, but to reduce that gap. So we will always need qualified people, but let's say that with such tools, more simple tasks can be covered somehow. And I think that is what is also a driver for me. So really to deliver a tool to our user base that they can really benefit from. And yeah, AI is one of the core solutions from my perspective.
Well, I think that for sure. And I know I'm going to get you to touch on maybe on hybrid a little bit. There might be some things there to talk about, but at the same time, the core values of Gibbs have stayed in place. The customer is important. The customer is what drives the software and why we do the things we do. And we haven't really changed. I mean, the resellers are still there. We still talk to our customers. The product is for them perpetually. They own the product. They're not enslaved to a software company.
No blackmailing.
Yeah. I mean, it's a reality, and that's something that should be applauded. It's a big deal. Most software companies are trying to take control of the customer, and I think Gibbs is on the forefront of an old thing, which is a new thing, which is an old thing. We're excited about that, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is my personal, or let's say I'm convinced that this is the right way. So I think the classical customer of GibbsCAM is a so-called SME. So, but I think it's a big fight to say how big is an SME. It can be 500, can be up to 2,000 people. Yeah. It's all a little bit relative, but I think companies prefer, let's say, ownership. But nevertheless, if there's somebody who loves and prefers also subscription, we have it as an option. So we are totally agnostic, flexible. So the customer has to tell what he wants. And so then we have to adjust our possibilities. I mean, that is something, let's say, the license model, but also, let's say, usage of virtual machines. I mean, that's standard. And we offer this also, we allow this also. And so that are things which are standard trends. And again, we have to follow trends from boundaries. And if I joined last year in internal training at SANDVIK as an institute, and the professor there, that is one of my biggest takeaways from that thing. And he said, be customer centric. If you are not customer centric, you will not exist in the future. And I think that is the most important message. And that's what you said. That's what has been done and what we are doing now and what we will improve. We will bring it to another level. So, that's very clear. Yeah,
I think customers can be reassured with that. All right. Well, let's roll on to the next question, which kind of ties into it. So what role does CAD/CAM play in increasing efficiency and precision in modern manufacturing processes? Did I say that right?
I think we covered this.
We kind of
our discussion already. I mean, I think CAM, that's what our focus is. Efficiency, precision. I mean, precision is expected. So that means that if you have programmed the part in CAM, you have made the machine simulation. I think the expectation of the user is that he gets a precision part. But efficiency, there are various levers, let's say. We just mentioned this topic of AI. I think AI will help to increase efficiency. Let's say, can be programming times, can be cycle times, can be new technologies which are brought in. I mean, therefore, also, we talked already about where is GibbsCAM positioned. I think we are currently also the only CAM system in the market who's covering the technologies of SANDVIK Coromant, so like prime turning, y-axis. We just recently, with the new version, GibbsCAM 2025, we added also the opti-threading functionality, and what was available already last year, the CPTL, the Coro Plus 2 library, things like that. And I think that helps to become more efficient. And So we are on a good way.
I agree with that 100%. I think the way the technology is, it really allows us to better integrate into real production environments today that we weren't able to in the past. And Gibbs, has always kind of led the way with import and export, even saving backwards. But also the integrations with Vericut, tying into tool databases. These things are, I think, unique and allow efficiencies in areas that customers may not think about initially.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is also part of my strategy. I have various ideas. The colleagues from development department are always confused when I say, I had some points again, and they say, oh my God, so the list is growing. And I mean, there are a lot of things happening in the market currently. So I just joined last week the IMTS, and there were, let's say, various persons reaching out to us, approaching us on the booth regarding, let's say, using another system, not being really happy with it. And so I think we were able to convince them all what we can offer. And especially, as you just said, so that's part of my strategy to, let's say, to make a sensible enlargement of our product offer. Because if they start now to review or to search for a new solution, I think they want to have a more complete solution. And as we talked about, how has CAM changed, from last century to this century? So that is something, as you just mentioned, optimization topics, tool databases. That are things they are, let's say, confronted with today. And if these things are connected and data are, let's say, exchanged between these, let's say, islands of different solutions, that is, again, coming back to the core question, efficiency, becoming more efficient, becoming more fast. I think, we have already a handful of good examples how it works and how we support this. Yeah.
Right on the money. All right, let's get to number 3. Okay. How are AI and machine learning influencing the future of CAD/CAM systems?
Yeah, so let's say the first half, I think we answered already before. Yep. So that's a point. And I think machine learning, that is an important point also, really to let's say, to get feedback from the machine and really to combine it and to learn it. So to bring in this with AI again and let's say to sharpen algorithm and so on in AI then for future products. Yeah, so I think it's very close related to each other and it's teaching each other. Yeah, and I think the better the exchange or the better the data we get from the machine, the better will be future algorithm and automated tool path generation top things and so on and so forth. I think, it is, I would say 100% agree. Yeah, it will impact a lot.
Yeah, when we really drill down into it, as you said earlier, it's pretty much impossible to see exactly what the future will hold for us because it's developing as we speak. But I know inside of Gibbs, you mentioned the Microsoft integration. I know inside of Tool Manager IQ, we have an integration as well that allows feeds and speeds and allows customers to ask questions like, hey, what drill size do I need for a 1/4-20 tap? Those types of things that they can really quickly get an answer while they're still in the software. They don't have to leave.
Yeah. And I fully agree to you, Al. And also imagine, let's say, this up to parts AutoCAM. I mean, okay, it's now it's a brand new product. It's young. It's starting to walk, let's say. But imagine, I mean, these kind of solutions will grow a lot in the next years. And I think that is a great thing because it is another important part of or piece of the puzzle. Because if you then get, let's say, the original part automated, analyzed, and the system finds out not only dimensions, they get tolerances out of the PMI data. They the user can get the proposal from the system, which tools should be used, what is the best possible tool path. I mean, that are the things people are searching for. Yeah, and so then if you combine it then with your existing, let's say, tool database you really have, also physically in your company, you can use this. Or maybe you said optimization. Maybe you can also ask the system in future, hey, recommend me best possible tools because of better feeds and speeds. I can win another 10 seconds on a part, whatever. So, I mean, and then I think the picture, the complete picture is getting more and more complete. Yeah.
Absolutely. And even in our own development, to your point about selecting tools automatically. So imagine the system will say, hey, we made a part like this last week. We made it on the same machine. We made it with the same material, and it's volumetrically similar. We use these tools and these processes. Would you like to apply the same? We can see that happening pretty damn soon.
Yeah, and we have it already. Let's say in up to parts, there's an additional module called calculation, and there you can. The system is comparing a new part with already, let's say, calculated parts, so that you have a reference, and so yeah, that are first steps, and they are on hands already. Yeah. So the system needs to be polished and well feeded, of course, and a little bit tuned and adjusted. But I think in half a year we will be much more advanced than we are. So in general, we can say GibbsCAM offers a solution already. But so I mean, the more parts you have, let's say, calculated with this tool, the better it will be, because it's self-teaching with the algorithm, and then the accuracy will also increase. Yeah.
And it'll go, I think, to the point where you now can, you were saying save 10 seconds on the part, but I think we'll be able to filter conditions and say, you know what, I'm not looking to get the fastest cycle time. I'm looking to get the efficiency in the cost of my tooling. So, maybe instead of saving 10 seconds, it might take you 30 seconds longer, but you just save $700 per part or for 10 parts because you're not driving your tools as quickly. Yeah. And the AI will be able to do that in a
exactly. Yeah. Let's talk about, the very popular word of sustainability. So how fast are my tools worn out? Do I need to replace them? Yeah. So there are, let's say, maybe criteria. So where they are saying, okay, highest priority, as you said, filter on speed, and the other one is on, let's say, sustainable or durability of the complete tools. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and the costing of what those tools are.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we could be on this probably the whole show, but
we could for sure. Yeah.
That's the next question. So, what industries do you see benefiting the most from the latest innovations in CAD/CAM technology?
Well, that's a good one. Well, I think globally at the moment, automotive industry is struggling and is still since a few years struggling. And I think we can't foresee at the moment how long this process will continue, because this fight between EV or not and so on, I think this fight has not been finished, let's say.
No.
New technologies, I'm thinking about, let's say a high precision part, maybe medical, I think could take benefit of this.
Yeah.
Because in medical, I know from my previous life, let's say, where I've been in the plastics industry, where cycle times, wall thicknesses, and so on are very critical. And I mean, it doesn't matter if you do it from plastic or from steel. Let's say the requirements are similar. You need high precision and things like that. And I think these are areas, and also I think aviation defense. aviation defense is also something. I mean, those products which are used there, the smallest mistake can lead to a dramatic result, let's say. And therefore, I think if they can get feedback from machines, so we talked about machine learning, we talked about similar parts from the past. Yeah? So this experience, all these things connected, I think that are industries where I see that these technologies can give a certain level of, let's say, not guarantee, but security somehow.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that are my first thoughts about this question.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. Obviously, aerospace and automotive, they've been leveraging, CAD/CAM from the beginning, or CAM from the beginning of time almost, and they keep accelerating it. But I was thinking maybe, downstream, where smaller organizations and companies have never been able really to afford the staff or the equipment. Now maybe you can start leveraging CAM systems and equipment, because the costs basically since 87 to today really haven't gone up much. I mean, the software costs are almost the same. The equipment costs have really dropped. The we'll say finding staff, that has been difficult, but the staff costs have gone way up. And if the software can do way more based on the improvements in AI and other things, where they can start to get results even in a shop with one or two machines, I think there can be some growth in that area. That's my thought. I don't know. That's reality.
Yeah, I mean, let's say it depends which type of parts a shop is producing. I mean, it could be, as you said, it could be a small shop with two machines. They can do, let's say, simple parts and very tricky parts. Yeah, but I fully agree. I mean, if you have, for example, more simple parts, for example, and then you use a tool like Up2Parts, AutoCAM, and then you can really automate this, and then you become more, let's say, independent from high qualified CAM programmers, because the software is pretty good and can cover, let's say, in brackets, more simple parts. So maybe it will be also possible in, I don't know, 3-5 years or something like that, also for more complex parts. Nobody knows or can estimate this today. For sure, it will become better, but when exactly, nobody can preview now. But I think, so I mean, that's a point, because I think I know it here from Germany, where I'm located. If an employee gets, let's say, a request from a big name, from a big company, so you can make the countdown from 3 to 0, and he left the company. Yeah, and I mean, that is a serious problem then for the owner of the company. And so if he's becoming, let's say, more independent from such a situation, and you have nice tools, and you have a, let's say, an end-to-end, a seamless end-to-end or key turn solution, then you are not depending on such situations, and you can maybe, as I said, maybe not 100% close the gap, but reduce the gap. So
absolutely. Yeah, I see the tool room changing. The gap of highly skilled people, I mean, it's 5 to 1 now. So, and I don't think that gap's going to close anytime soon. The technology has to fit in. So
I mean, it's so crazy. I mean, in CNC you make so great parts, so crazy parts, but I think it's something of the society. I think it's super hip not to get dirty fingers during working. So and when I remember the time when I made my education, we were forced to work on steel for 3 months, and I hated it, but they said, hey, you need to do this because you need to honor what the colleagues are doing in production. And so I learned from that a lot, really. And but that is something, that are things which are impacted, and there are possibilities, let's say, nowadays, fortunately.
Yeah. Well, we never imagined people having little CNCs in the garage or in their basements, and that's happening all the time.
Yeah.
So anyway, we
That's true.
again better get on. How does cloud computing impact the accessibility and sustainability or scalability of CAD/CAM solutions?
Yeah, I think that's also a good point. I think cloud computing. I think there are still a lot of people who don't trust in general. The word cloud is a red piece of cloth for them already. Yeah. So, and I mean, there are a lot of bad things still happening. I mean, cybersecurity topics, phishing, and all these things. That is daily business for a lot of companies. And if I know a company from my previous job who had such a cyber attack, and it is really a nightmare. So they were blocked for nearly 3 months, if I remember properly. And so I think there are some, in French you say ressentiment. So they don't trust in it. And I think, but in the meantime, it has become really secure and safe if you're working with the right people, let's say. And also if you use from I don't know, I should not do commercial things here now, but I mean there are a lot of very well-known and well-established companies who offer cloud space, so that's something. And I think cloud computing, let's say, yeah, you need it for big data volume things. I don't know. So maybe also AI will help to reduce the necessary data for having a lean toolpath calculation. Yeah. So could happen also. Yeah. So I think it's also, again, it's an opportunity, and if data volume becomes more and you can source it out, I think it's possible. It's a quite safe thing. Yeah.
I that question it isn't all that easy to answer because it's kind of derived into several directions. But if you're in defense and you're ITAR certified, that's not going to happen. You're not going to be in the cloud. And if you care anything about your data, you can back up to your own servers or back up somewhere where you feel is important. I don't, and it's the same thing with subscription software. I mean, you don't even own it. It's not even there. It's somewhere else. It can turn that off, and you have no access to anything. And I think that's a huge Gibbs advantage. You don't have to be on anybody's cloud but your own.
Yeah. I mean, we currently don't offer things in the cloud, let's say. Up to Parts is using, Up to Parts is using the cloud, but it's hosted on a Microsoft server. So I think that is really like a tiny life insurance, I would say. But as well as I believe in the, let's say, in the perpetual license, I believe also in this local installation.
Yeah. And
I think for this industry, it's mandatory. I mean, they have high sensitive data and maybe, but on the other side, it is also possible to install a cloud also at such a company internally, not at an external cloud. Exactly. I think that might be also an alternative in future. We have the hard lock dongle still. It's old fashioned. It's rare. Let's say software dongles are more common nowadays, no doubt. But so that's the way how it works.
Yeah, and I mean, I can see things like tool databases where there's Core Plus, or you can get fixture designs. You can get things from the cloud that will you can bring down and utilize in the manufacturing process, which will be useful. But I think the security of having everything within the organization is going to continue to be a very important factor. So you don't get ransomware and other things, in front of you the next morning.
Yeah.
All right. So what challenges do companies face when adopting new CAD/CAM technologies and how can they overcome them?
Ooh, good
I
question.
know. They're hard-hitting
What
questions.
challenges? I mean, let's say, I would say we have great salespeople, direct salespeople, and we have great resellers. And normally they are in the business not also since yesterday or the week before. Yeah, so we have partners which are for decades in the business. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think our customers are in quite good hands, and they should trust their partners or their contact of the organization. And I think risks or something are really minimal, I would say. Yeah, and I mean, our software we are testing like hell before we deliver it. I mean, but you can test so much as you want. You know? There will be always something not okay. I mean, why do we have the Wednesday update of Microsoft? So I mean, they're also not perfect. Yeah.
No, I have to agree with your first comments, because Gibbs sells with a reseller base. The biggest thing I think, if I was using brand X cam, and I'm thinking, I really like the advantage of GibbsCAM per se, or whatever the cam is, having the resources to be able to support that customer, the training, the tech support, being able to pick up the phone and talking to somebody. If you switch from one brand to another and they don't have that infrastructure to take you and nurture you to become successful, that would be, I think, one of the most significant challenges. And there's not many companies left like that on the planet.
Yeah, I mean that's I think that is really a standard situation. Yeah, it doesn't matter if somebody is switching from one cam to another system, or he starts to enter the world of cam. If you don't have a good support, if you don't have a good training, you lose very fast the fun on usage, let's say, and you get frustrated. So that was also one reason, let's say, to start with this AI Copilot. So I saw it in an internal event, the so-called collective intelligence project, which takes part once a year. It was last year in September, and when I saw it, when Microsoft presented it, I called Israel from the developing team, said, Israel, I saw today something, we need to go for it, because I'm dreaming of, let's say, having a 24/7 online support for the users, because Murphy's Law, you have your daily business. You're working like hell, and you have a special request, a special part, whatever. And you say, I do it when the colleagues are out of the office and it's more silent, I can focus or concentrate better. So what happens? You're sitting in front, and you did it maybe 2 or 3 years ago last time. So, but then you look at your watch, oh, congratulations, support hour is done. So what to do now? And then, let's say, typing in and let's say getting an answer. Maybe, now I remember, I had it in, I was teach during a training 3-4 years ago. You maybe remember, or maybe you find a video, doesn't matter where it's coming from, and then you have theoretically a better chance to get it done. Yeah. So, and I think that is something where we will for sure will work in the next years to improve what we have started now. And I think that is what we need, to be independent. Yeah, and that people say, okay, but also if it's maybe 8 p.m., I get a solution, because I have I need to make a quote for the next morning, because a customer is expecting the quote at o'clock. So I know this. I mean, how often do you get an inquiry? Yeah, so I don't know. You get it at 8 in the morning, and you should have received 1 hour. The customer expected 1 hour ago already the quote for it. Yeah, so
exactly.
I mean.
And you travel the world, so you know exactly what that's like.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are now at how is CAD/CAM technology helping manufacturers address sustainability and reduce waste?
Oh, Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, this discussion we have also because internally in the group at SANDVIK, because it's one of the core targets of SANDVIK to be sustainable. And I also needed to investigate a little bit, because the definition of sustainability is a little bit, can be very wide, let's say.
Yeah.
I was wondering a little bit, what is the definition for sustainable in hardware and in software? I think for hardware, it's, let's say, maybe I could say more easy, because you can say, okay, can I save material, cycle time, less, cooling liquid, less electricity and things like that. There might be some, from first view, some easy things. And then we discussed this internally. What does it mean? And I think GibbsCAM is super sustainable from this point of view, because I mentioned before opti-threading, a technology which avoids that the ships are getting too long, so which could stuck the machine and things like that. Already having this, reducing the risk of having a machine stop, things like that. Everything you bring in as a new function or feature that the user in front of the CAM system can work faster, that he can save time, that is already something. I mean, you can see machine simulation, because you can simulate, will there be later a crash or not? So that's one thing. Yep. The technologies I mentioned, like prime timing from Coromant or Y-axis, so that are things which make the CAM system more sustainable. Now with AI, it will be a super big jump in the future and help a lot to become more sustainable. Because if you can reduce, programming a more complex part in the future where you take, maybe 30 hours or something like that, and it's done by the system in, maybe in future in 5 or 6 hours. So that's nice. And then the company is becoming more efficient, economic, and sustainable in the end. So it's given, and we do it very clear, and we have also the task from SANDVIK organization to show that we are sustainable, and we do it very clear. I had this discussion. In the meantime, we have added to our website a tab regarding sustainability where we talk about it. So this can be checked and seen. So it's existing. We do it, and we will continue to do it.
And again, a few weeks ago we had Chris on, and we spoke about this from Extreme. And all machinists inherently in machine shops want to become more efficient anyway, and becoming more efficient makes them more sustainable.
Yeah.
But in the end, Gibbs has always had efficient toolpath, and our competitors oftentimes would go into a pocket and then come back out and go into a pocket and come back out and go into a pocket and come back out. Whereas Gibbs goes in a pocket and stays down, goes into a pocket and stays down. Just that up and down scenario, all of this extra time, and now with volume mill keeping the chip load the same, all of these things also reduce the power outage, the power usage on the machine. So we're saving time, we're saving energy, and it's been, I think, hard coded, as it were, in the Gibbs brand, and I think that really speaks, at least in my mind, to sustainability for sure.
Yeah, there are a lot of things. So if you make a deep dive on this topic, you find a lot of points who let's say who underline the sustainability aspect. Yeah,
you're right.
For sure.
You're right. Okay, so our time is still good. What role do CAD/CAM systems play in the growth of Industry 4.0 and smart manufacturing?
Lovely question. So honestly, I'm a little bit opportunistic on this point. So I know when I've been in the plastics industry before, and that's more than 10 years ago, everybody talked suddenly about Industry 4.0. And for me, it was, sorry to say this, for me, it was just a hype. Yeah, I mean, everybody used it. They made stickers on the machines and whatever, but I think it was not really defined. What does it mean? I think maybe it was something like hey, we are thinking about being innovative and do something in automation. I think that was the feeling I got in that time, because really there were shows with big machines and they had big stickers of 1-2 meters length, Industry 4.0, and what's it? So nobody was able to tell you what's it. And I think, let's say, I would say AI is now the real revolution, industrial revolution, and it should replace those names, because now we have we have a tool how to do this. Yeah. Before, I think there was a vision, but there was not the real way and the how. Yeah. And I think with AI, the answer is now given. Yeah, maybe it's too rough and too opportunistic and provocative, but I think
I don't disagree with you. You know, it's kind of like putting a label on something that's been gluten-free forever and suddenly saying it's gluten-free. But at the same time, you know, the idea behind Industry 4.0, in what I've taken from it, is really the ideas that manufacturers were thinking that now machines would be more interfaced into, let's say, the software technologies that customers were using. So, you know, we have MT Connect, we have FANUC Focus. Those are all data and user points that really didn't exist, we'll say, before Industry 4.0 and that terminology. And now when we have things like CSI Flex and being able to capture data, real-time data, and we white-run the machines running to see how this tool is performing, and that information going into, let's say, the AI, as you say, we can now say, hey, this style of insert in these cutting conditions with this material might be the right. So that's where I
absolutely. I mean, I agree. Yeah. So let's say on each machine there was a panel, but it was more a monitoring modus. And now I see the problem, but I don't know how to change the problem. Yeah. So they maybe changed some settings on the machine, but it was not the reasons the why was not, you couldn't find out. Yeah. And then I think now, as you said, AI is maybe the next level of it. Not only monitoring or creating a lot of data from the machine, from the tool, whatever, and now really to find out, to analyze, and to find another setting maybe to avoid it.
Absolutely. So, you know, in the old days, the machine was chattering. Well, let's reduce the spindle speed and let's increase the feed rate. And your ear was what you were using. And like you say, with AI and other things, because those ears are all getting kind of old, we need some other methods to manage that.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right. So, second last question: can you discuss any trends in user experience design that are shaping the future of CAD/CAM software? I know.
Trends.
1 in the morning for you poor guy.
Yeah. Well, I think trends. I think in let's say in the US, in Central Europe, and so on. I think future production, if there is production, it will be for more complex parts. That is what I think. I mean, we see it already that I saw it from Germany, where I'm located in the past. So a lot of companies moved from different industrial segments. They moved to Eastern Europe. They moved to China. So now India is another booming area also already since a couple of years. I think that is something where I would say caused by the nice effect of saving labor costs, these moving to east was given. I don't know, maybe they're one day around the globe and come back to Europe or to the US, to the core regions, but
yeah, of course.
So I mean, trends, I would just say complex parts with the right automation can be produced effective also in a country with higher labor costs. And I think that is important. And that means or I would say it depends on the level of automation.
Yeah.
And then you can still survive. Yeah. The simple parts, I think, that will be really challenging. I think there will be other regions where those parts will be produced in the future.
Yeah, I guess it's the way we can phrase the question. I'm trying to think of the UI into the software. And when I was thinking about this, I was thinking, how have, automobiles changed and the interfaces into an automobile? Remember when the first BMWs came out with the iDrive, it was like, oh my God, what's going on? What's this knob in the middle? And and basically today, you've got Apple CarPlay and you've got Google Android and you've got all these, the interface into a car is so different. Whereas before we had a paper map and, you had to read a map. I remember being with a girlfriend at one time, she had it backwards. How can you do this? But anyway, I can see that the interfaces to CAM systems changing in the next few years very differently than where they are now, much as you were speaking about AI. How we interface with the software will change. My thought.
Yeah. I mean, why not having a drag and drop solution? Yeah. So you have the part, you drop it in, and then drag drop, and then the system starts.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Absolutely. Yeah. That interface, I think, will change over time.
Yeah.
Well, Thorsten, this is it. There's the last question, and we've stopped the torture. Poor guy.
Yeah, no problem. We're good in time, I would say. Very good timing.
Thank you. Looking ahead, what do you think will be the biggest game changer for CAD/CAM in the next decade?
Well, already mentioned AI. Very clear.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that'll be the biggest change. It will be interesting to see how it affects the actual sales of software. What will that be like in 10 years? Will there still be a reseller? Will there still be a place for customers to pick up the phone and call? Or will it all be digital somehow? I hope not. But yeah, that is something 10 years is a long time when you see that every 3 months something is changing in our landscape.
Absolutely. I think also this, you can't say or you can't know this today, when will what happen. And there were intense discussions I saw here in Germany on TV. There is one party who is, let's say, pushing AI, another which are again, because they say, hey, it's stealing working space and so on. But on the other side, I think there will be a lot of new jobs will be created by AI, for AI and so on. But I think, AI will be the biggest game changer, and I think also key turn solutions. So no silos. So companies want to, let's say, they want to have the option to buy a key turn solution, but they don't want to be forced. I think that is an important difference. And I think the one who is really flexible and has a kind of, let's say, modular structure that people can select which add-on they need today. And they know already, okay, if I go ahead, maybe in, 2 years, I will need this and this, and I see, this supplier offers this already today, then I think it will impact also the decision.
I agree. We spoke at the very, very beginning was Gibbs was always at the forefront. It's still at the forefront, and AI, I 100% agree with you, are going to change the dynamics and how the platforms all run. but we can see the leverage. So in GibbsCAM, we have processes. Imagine leveraging all those processes that you've made over the years into AI. I mean, those who are GibbsCAM's users knows what I'm talking about. Even Geometry Expert, you could remember, was way ahead of the time. So we have distinct advantages that are really unique with our tool databases and our definitions of manufacturing, and a customer owning the software and not being afraid to invest his time in it because it's not lost. These are huge advantages over, I think, many of our competitors in the world of, and anyway, that's how I see the future landscape, much like you, but we've got a distinct advantages over our competitors.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, and I mean, that's why we stand up each morning, to fight, to develop ahead. Otherwise, life would be very boring.
It would be. Well, Thorsten, I want to thank you for joining us. I know you've only got a couple hours to go before you're on an airplane again, and I really appreciate you spending this time with us.
Well, I will try to sleep for 2.5 hours, so that's roughly the time frame, the time slot I have now.
By the time you get up in the morning, this podcast will be somewhere on Spotify or Apple, and you'll be able to hear it again and share it with your friends.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, thanks for the invitation, and it was a pleasure from my side. And don't be shy. Let's say if you have another topic in the future, reach out to me, and would be happy to support you in a further podcast like this.
Brilliant. Well, thank you again for this. I appreciate it. And to all of our audience, stay tuned. In a couple of weeks, we'll have another guest, and we'll talk about that on our website.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Have a great time. Bye.
Bye-bye. Hey, Steph.
Hello. Awesome.
What took you so long?
No, I thought you were concluding it, and I was like, are we skipping the last segment? And so I just waited a little bit too long, I guess. But
that's okay. I get it. It was really good having Thorsten on. Really an exciting. I liked it, but then again, I like all of our podcasts. So, but I think this one was a little special having him on board from Gibbs. So it was nice to have him.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll keep everybody in suspense. We have a surprise guest in a couple of weeks. We look forward to him coming on with us. We're excited about it. I won't announce it just yet. We'll keep you guessing, but we'll have it on the website. We'll make sure we get it on there.
Keep on keeping on.
Well, Steph, thank you for being my co-host and making sure everything ran just the way it was supposed to.
My pleasure. Thank you, everybody.
See you in a couple of weeks.
Bye.
Ciao, guys.
Thank you for tuning in to the Cutting Time CNC Podcast, where precision meets progress. We hope you've gained valuable insights into CNC manufacturing and are inspired to optimize your processes for efficiency and innovation. For more resources and to connect with Al or Stephanie, visit us at cuttingtimecncpodcast.com. The link is in the show description. Remember, the journey doesn't end here. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible in CNC manufacturing. Make sure you follow the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite player to get notified about new episodes of the Cutting Time CNC Industry Podcast.